In a land where cacti outnumber cell towers and the horizon stretches further than a fiber optic cable, it's time for Valley's Bits, Bytes and Banter, the podcast that looks a bit behind the scenes of a broadband provider, takes a big bite out of the tech world, and serves up a healthy dose of banter with people in our community. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Bob Dahlstrom.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Dahlstrom, as Lee Patterson said at the top of the show, and welcome to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, the podcast that Ralph Score, my partner in crime and co-host, and I do. And I hope you guys are listening and enjoying the episodes we've had so far. We've had a ton of great guests on. I mean, they've all been great guests. They all bring something new, and they all bring something different. Ralph, am I wrong in that?
No, you're not. We've had really, we've been blessed in a lot of ways to the people that we've had on this show, and today is going to be no exception to that whatsoever.
I agree. We have a great guest here today, and we're excited to get to talk to her in just a few minutes. Yeah. But usually at the top of the podcast.
Where can people find the podcast?
Oh, well, I'm glad you slowed me down, Ralph. I'm all excited. Hey, everybody. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You can find our podcast in a lot of areas. You can find it on Podbean, which is where we have it hosted. It's a free app and a website. Go to podbean.com and search Valley's Bits with an apostrophe S, and you'll find it there in all our episodes. You can find us on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, on YouTube, on our website at vtc.net/blog, and pretty much everywhere you find your favorite podcasts you like to listen to. So please subscribe to it, download them, give us a review, let us know what you think.
Yeah. And if you got any questions,
you can email us at podcast@teamvtg.net.
Yeah. So far, I think this will be episode 19.
Yeah, 19th episode.
So that's pretty good. Yeah. So we're really excited. We're just keep rolling along with it.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Like I said, that's one thing that's been great about this podcast, because when we first put it together, we were like, what are we going to talk about? I mean, sure, we could talk about Valley, but who's going to listen to us talk about Valley for 19 episodes, right?
Yeah.
And we decided that really the stars should be people in our community. That's what makes it all up. And
even we didn't want to listen to stuff about Valley for 19 episodes.
Or listen to us talking about Valley for 19 episodes.
Correct. Sorry, Troy.
And we think everybody has, unique stories, unique experiences, expertise, when things that brought them to the communities where we serve. And we go all over our communities. We've been from Columbus to
Animas, New Mexico.
Animas to Safford to we've been all over the place. Here in Willcox, of course. And we're just going to continue to do that.
And we're mobile.
Yeah, that's what's the beautiful thing about it. We are on location today, as a matter of fact. We'll talk about that coming up here pretty quick.
Yep.
But Ralph, I know we talk about some things and going on in technology and things that maybe people may not know about, we need to talk about.
Yeah, they just wrapped up the CES in Las Vegas, which was the Consumer Electronic show. And interesting, because NTCA, who is the Rural Broadband Association, which we belong to as a company, it's all the companies it's about 800 companies just like us that are members of this, and they really support us, but they always have somebody there. And really the big thing this year wasn't about the new products that are out, but what's being integrated into a lot of the products. And of course the big thing on everybody's mind and mouth was AI, of course, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's the next big, everybody thinks is the next big thing in technology, right?
And just like how everything is a smart thing now, right? The Internet of Things and smart things, and now everything you got in your house. Oh, it's a smart TV. Oh, it's a smart radio. Oh, it's a smart speaker. And it's integrating that intelligence into it. But AI is really taking stuff that's data that is inputted in and using that data to calculate out and give you relevant information as long as it's got the data available. And there's always a saying that AI won't take your job, but the person who knows how to use AI will. But it's really better viewed as a tool. If you think about a gun, right? A gun in the right hands is a great tool, but in the wrong hands can be a pretty bad thing to be around, right? But there was a session hosted by Deloitte that they estimated that 50% of computing deployments very soon will include machine learning, which specifically systems that rely on algorithms as they process data to create new processes. And 60% of edge computing next year is expected to be both predictive and generative. So in other words, you're going to be able to put something in, and it's going to calculate out everything that it can absorb that's been put in, and spit out an answer to you that's probably a lot more accurate than you can do on your own as far as even researching it. What's sobering and exciting is that the edge computing was defined to include everything that we encountered in our daily lives, from retail sales to manufacturing to farming and to healthcare. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, and we'll continue to talk about AI because it's obviously very prevalent, a very important topic. But artificial intelligence, the one thing people, I think, and we keep mentioning it, that you need to realize is it is always going to need human review, human direction. AI can be taught, but it cannot learn.
Yeah, there's actually
it's not like you see in the movies. It's not like you can tell it, hey, go find this for me, whatever, and it can go figure out a way to do it and get it to you. It has to be told what to do.
I just had it write me a press release for a story I was writing, and the press release included the name of somebody of a contact that wasn't a real person, But if and that's what it'll do to you. It'll say, they call it hallucinating. They call it AI hallucination. So,
it generates things based on what it knows, what its experiences have been, and what he thinks you want to do, and want to know, want to say.
Yeah, but what they say is that really the true power of AI is to amplify the human potential rather than replace it. That's what they want. That's what they want it to be able to do.
It should, like you mentioned, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's not meant to replace anything. It's just another tool.
Yeah, exactly. And it has steps to assist that the retooling will be necessary to cultivate a workforce that's affected by this thing, right? Because there was one company that they're an SAS provider, and they said they lost 40% of their business to companies that were integrating AI. So now they're retooling and integrating AI into their thing, and they got to be really careful because they don't have the money to do it over again.
Right.
So it's the steps that need to be taken.
And that's the other part too, right? The money involved in changing over and starting to use those tools.
Yeah. So, and we could see it, I think.
Excuse me.
And where it's really powerful is in big data. In other words, if you've got to spit out numbers based on analytics and all that stuff, it's going to analyze things a lot faster than you can do on your own. So that's a really important thing. And finding information to report, too. That's really big.
That's true.
Yeah, so anyway. But now it's time for a little bit of what we call the spurious facts of the day, and I want to start out with camels, right? Because
of course, well, sure.
Yeah,
that's logical for next step is camels.
It's Arizona. What do you know? Camels, right? And so and a lot of people, some people know this and some people don't, that, camels were actually found in Arizona for a while, and there were actually some that were set loose in the wild, right? And it was because the U.S. Army imported camels from the Far East in the 1850s. They were used to transport supplies and explorers in the Southwest. They were stationed at Camp Birdie, right, and also in Texas, and they were used as beasts of burden. And some were driven to Arizona to help build the Transcontinental Railroad. Well, I'll have you know that there are some weird laws from yesteryear in this state, and a couple of them include you're not allowed to hunt those camels if you can find them. Okay, they're not on the diet. I'm sorry.
And you can't get a tag for them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't get a tag for the camel hunt. A couple other things are that that donkeys cannot sleep in bathtubs. That's a law in the books still in the state of Arizona.
Well, yeah. If you've got your donkey sleeping in your bathtub, shame on you.
Yeah. It's like you need
to make other arrangements.
Yeah. Now the dog and the cat. Yeah, I don't know.
Goodbye with that. But donkey, that's a no-go.
So another one is any misdemeanor committed while wearing a red mask is considered a felony. Believe it or not. So if you're going to commit a misdemeanor, if you're going to jaywalk, don't be wearing a red mask.
Don't wear a red mask.
And of course, and this is a really well-known one, is due to intense heat, it's illegal to refuse a person a glass of water in the summer, right? That's just like in Alaska, you have to stop and give someone aid in the winter if they're broke down on the side of the road. And finally, in Maricopa, I don't know if this is the county or the town, right? No more than 6 girls may live in a house together, right?
That's probably the county.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's a county.
Wait, that includes Phoenix.
Yes, it does. That does include Phoenix.
Okay.
You better look out. Yeah. Hey, and I have something I'm going to throw out at you. Yeah. We're talking technology here. Do you know, and most everybody has used Amazon, and they, get a lot of things through Amazon. Do you know what the original name of Amazon was?
Oh, wasn't it Zulu or something like that?
He tried several iterations, but it was Cadabra.
Like abracadabra, yeah.
And Jeff Bezos, who started it and who owns it, he explored in the 90s other names for it. In fact, even now, if you put in relentless.com, it forwards to Amazon.
Really?
Because that was one of the domains he bought.
Wow.
Relentless.com will send you right to Amazon.
So I wonder how many domains he owns.
I don't even know, but that one is still active as far as redirecting to Amazon.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's that useless knowledge, right? Yeah. It's to be coming handy someday for trivia people. All right, guys, we had some good information here at the top of the show, but we're excited to get to talk to our special guest, and we're going to introduce her right after the break. Everybody stick around.
Hey, are you playing Fortnite?
Yeah.
Let's go, man. I'm gonna beat you so bad.
You know I could go pro if I wanted to. You do not stand a chance. Besides, we always just play against each other.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to find more people to play with.
Hey, Valley Telecom has the Fiber Gaming Network, an online community where we can compete in tournaments and win real prizes, or just meet new gamers and participate in casual game nights.
Whoa, that's so cool. But how much does it cost?
It's actually free. Valley Telecom is providing this to their community at no charge. We just go to vtc.net/gaming and sign up.
Wow, that's so awesome. Now I can show everyone I'm the best.
Get in the game with a Fiber Gaming Network powered by Valley Telecom. Go to vtc.net/gaming to sign up today.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, our podcast. I'm your host, Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Ralph Score. And that break there was talking about the Fiber Gaming Network, and I just want to give them a shout-out real quick to that.
Yeah.
It is free for anybody to do, and any of you online gamers, if you love to do that sort of thing, it's a community where you can get on there and during the week have community nights, play game, play trivia.
Yep.
And on the weekends, they do tournaments of different games.
You win prizes, right?
And you can actually win prizes.
We don't know what they are, but
I've looked on there, and they do raffles, and there's things from they've given away gaming headsets to actually, depending on the time of year, they've given away an Xbox.
Oh, that's
so
pretty
you
cool.
could win all kinds of stuff, gift cards, things like that. Guys, go check it out. vtc.net/gaming.
And it's free.
We'll give you everything you need to know about the Fiber Gaming Network. It is absolutely free, courtesy of Valley Telecom.
Yeah.
We're offering it up there for everybody. So when you register, you go on the Fiber Gaming Network page, you'll see a list of providers. Scroll down, find Valley Telecom, click on it, and off you go to get
And
registered.
you're on. Yep.
And take it from there.
So tell us about our guest today,
Our
Bob.
guest today, we're very excited to have her on. Now, I know we've been talking about technology, but it is very important to never forget where you came from and always understand the history of how you got where you are and the things that have come before you.
Even if they're weird laws.
Even if they're weird laws, like Ralph was bringing up. And this is where our guest today really kind of helps fill the gap for that. I know we appreciate having her on. And I'm going to give some just the highlights that I have. And Kathy, you can feel free to blush or look away if you don't want to look at me. She was recently named 2023. You were you're the favorite daughter of the year at the Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Banquet. You're an accomplished author. You've written many books on the history of our area, Willcox and the outlying areas as well. In 2012, in celebration of Arizona's centennial, Kathy was chosen as the Arizona Culture Keeper, one of 8, I believe, right?
No. One of 100.
One of
the
100
whole
for
state.
the culture keepers.
Yes.
For the state that most contributed to preserving state history and heritage. You were elected as one of 8 delegates, that's what it was, to represent Arizona at the White House Conference on Library and Information Services in Washington, D.C. And you have volunteered and served in this community for over 40 years.
Right.
I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is none other than Kathy Klump. Kathy, how are you today?
Well, I'm fine, and I'm very pleased that you've invited me to be part of this and to share what we do here at our Historical Society and the Museum and Research Center.
Well, thank you for saying yes. Yes, I appreciate that. And in fact, what Kathy was saying, we're here now. We travel around like we talked about. We're actually at what was the old Toggery building in Willcox, which is actually part of the Chiricahua Regional Museum and Research Center.
Right.
Where we are sitting right now, Kathy, and I can see incredible historical artifacts everywhere I look.
And we've done all this within the last 24 years.
That's amazing.
24, 25 years, we've completely filled this building and the museum building across the street.
And how did you come across all these things? I mean, people donating them, you guys researching them?
Well, we kind of need to start way back.
Go way back, yeah. How this all got started.
Well, the Sulphur Springs Valley Historical Society is the main organization over all of this. And last year we celebrated our 50th year.
Wow.
So the people who first started that historical society started gathering information and artifacts. But they didn't have a building or a home to really put them in, so weren't able to gather very much at that time. So then, how this all kind of happened was, I'm a big book lover, always have been all my life, and I have shelves and shelves of books 2 rows deep at my home.
Wow.
And
just love to read.
So the first thing was I got involved with the library when Elsie Hogan was still here. And we started the Friends of the Library, 1981. So I started volunteering in about 76. So it's been almost 50 years.
Yeah, I'm a little
since I've
behind
been-
on that number. It'll be 50 next year.
And so the Friends of the Library wanted to have a bookstore where we could sell books to raise money for the library. So I ended up buying the bank building on Railroad Avenue so the Friends could have a bookstore. Okay, that was a historic building built in 1917. I'm right in the middle of all the historic district. And so I thought, well, maybe I should join the Historical Society since I own a historic building.
Right.
So that was, when I first joined, that was probably about in the middle of the 90s. And they didn't have any building, and I was going to meetings, and I said, don't we own anything? We go to meetings, but I don't see that we have any artifacts or anything. And they said, oh, there's a few things in the Schwertner house. So it was just a couple of file drawers with photos and some old nurses' uniforms from World War II.
And that was all they had to that
That was about
point.
it.
Wow. And the Schwertner House is a historical home.
Right,
We're
and it
real
was
close
given
here.
to the Historical Society, and they had redone it. So then in 97, we raised money to restore the depot.
Right.
And then we wanted to go ahead and have a museum, and we were offered the Geronimo exhibit from Arizona State Historical Society if we had a building. So by that time, I'd gotten pretty interested in it, mainly because of the author, Michael Hickey, who wrote this big, thick book on the death of Warren Earp for the 100th anniversary of his killing here in Willcox. And that book was to come out in the year 2000.
Okay.
So he had contacted the recorder's office, and he said, I would need somebody locally to help me research. And so Christine Rhodes, who was recorder for years and years, said, oh, Kathy Klump will help you.
I have a person in mind.
So I got a call from Michael Hickey from Hawaii, and he wanted me to go to the LDS church here, which at the time had the microfilms of what papers had been microfilmed. And
Okay.
he wanted me to go through those and find out more about the people that were here in 1900 when the shooting happened, what happened to them. So I had always thought that Willcox started, everybody was poor as could be, there was nothing here,
Right.
and I just kind of had this picture in my head. When I started reading the papers, it was a whole different world. And they told what everybody was doing, down to who you had Thanksgiving dinner with. And,
Wow.
and people
All the
that
details.
broke their arm cranking their car. And
Oh, wow.
And-
Wow.
all kinds of tidbits. And it's sort of, these people kind of came to life to me. And I found out that, that Willcox was the center of everything at the time. Once the train arrived, we were the distribution point for everywhere.
Wow.
And our merchants became very well-to-do, shipped oysters on the train for their parties, would give whole sets of silver at the bridal showers, weddings. I said, oh my gosh, this is like a whole different world here than what I thought. And so I said to the people from the Historical Society, if you get a building, I'll quit my job at the court. I was working as a court clerk here at the JP.
Yeah, right here, the county courthouse.
I said, I'll quit my job and And I want to start a research library where we collect everything we can, because the artifacts really don't mean much if you don't have the kind of the backstory, the story behind them. And so that's what I wanted to do, is start the research library. And I kind of thought at the time someone else would do the other part, the museum part. But I've been president now for, I don't know, probably going on 20 years.
Little did you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But from that, before they even got a building, I started saving stuff at home that would come in, because we had the bookstore and historic stuff would start coming in. I started saving stuff. So they were able to get the old hardware store, Harley Windsor store. And too bad that we didn't have the money when it still was full of all the antiques from his store. But we did end up with that building. And then about 4 years later, we were able to get this toggery building from the Huffman family. They had owned this store, only one family, from 1916 to 2002.
Wow.
And we got it in 2004. So the community has been so supportive, you can't believe. We told Mrs. Huffman, because she was in her 90s, she didn't want to carry it long term.
Right.
So we agreed if we could get $26,000 within a month, then she would carry the rest. And so I said, okay, because it was going to be $80,000, I just need to find 80 people to give me $1,000. So we had $26,000 within that month.
Wow.
And then we were carrying it. And then to show you how supportive everybody's been, that's how we got so much stuff. People started bringing us stuff from their family. And once they knew we had a permanent place, it wasn't going to be given to us and then thrown away, or who knows what happened to it. We said, I have personally promised that as long as I'm here, I will protect the stuff that the people give us. And so once they knew they could trust us, we were a viable organization. They've been so supportive. And so when we got to where we had $25,000 left on the building, it was actually $25,700. Howard Bethel, who had been a part since the very beginning, donated the $25,000.
Wow.
And we were $700 short, and it was at the ball game. And there's a rancher there that says, "What have you been doing, Kathy?" And I told him, we're all excited. Our building's going to be paid off, but we're short $700. So he pulled out his checkbook and gave me $700.
Wow.
And since then, anytime we've sent, like to repair a roof or to replace the floor, redo the electricity, we put the word out, we need some help. And we've never failed to get the help. So I just can't, I feel like I can't do enough for this community, because even in personal times that we needed support, the community came forward. So, and I found that this is kind of my little niche. I have a really good memory for all the information that I come across. I don't know for sure how I can remember it all, but I can pull up most things up off my head if it's especially in the 1800s.
And you just have it
if you
memorized.
ask me what I have to do tomorrow, I might not know. But
That's sort of, I guess,
but I
an
can tell
eidetic
you what's
memory,
happened.
Yeah.
But I learned if I read it or study it chronologically, I can remember it kind of like you're reading a novel. And it's never lost excitement of any new things that come in. And our goal now, which we have a lot of volunteers. I haven't done any of this by myself. We have some wonderful volunteers. Some of them have been with me the whole time, and we're still continuing to get new volunteers. But our goal now is to get everything organized and in a way that can be accessed and makes sense to everybody when they come in. We can find whatever they're looking for. We have researchers from all over coming. And besides the books we've written to get the information to where it's fun for other people to read and make sense, we've also helped with lots of other authors and their books.
I did see you refer to that, and we talked about you appearing in the latest issue of Currents magazine.
Yes.
And they interviewed you, and there's a mention in there about you. It seems like authors quite frequently, if they're writing about the Wild West or the Old West history, they get a hold of you. They somehow find you.
They're very surprised how much stuff I have in those file cabinets back there. But one thing that helps with that is we have the actual newspapers clear back to 1894 from Arizona Range News, from 1894 to 2020 when it closed.
You have every newspaper.
And I've read them all, even
Wow.
on microfilm, the ones from 1880. And I've marked the stories that I want, and then I copied it on the copier, cut my copies apart, and put them in the files by the person or the event or the place. So we cover pretty much all of northern Cochise County. So if you're from Pierce, I have a file drawer full of Pierce. Everybody lived there.
Man.
You know, Bowie, whatever.
So a lot of cataloging.
It is.
Tremendous amount.
A lot of cataloging.
So, but that way, a person, most people coming in to research their family, say their grandfather lived here in 1910, it would take them years. It's taken me 20 years. It would take them years to find all the mentions of the grandfather.
Right.
But the way I have done it is you can go to the file and say, Mr. Norton from Norton Comores Schultz was your grandfather. Everything I found on him will be in the file for all the time he was here.
And easy for them to reference
Yeah.
and see all the
So
mentions.
They are excited to find that I have anything on their family.
Sure.
They don't expect to be able to just come in and find it. And so, I've lost track now of how many books we've helped with. But the latest researcher was very excited when he saw what all I had was researching the Arizona Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
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 And Willcox was pretty rough. It
Yeah.
was called the toughest town in the territory at the turn of the century.
Wow.
And they said, if you're too sissy to live in Willcox, you can move to Tombstone.
Oh, wow. Which became known as the town too tough to die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Willcox was actually a lot rougher
Yeah.
than Tombstone.
I remember talking to somebody, and they were talking about the Arizona Rangers that, you know, they sent them to Douglas for a while because when Douglas was formed, was pretty wild.
Well,
west
we had a
place.
lot of them that lived right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's 4 of them buried here in Willcox.
Wow.
So because we, ship more cattle than anywhere in the United States for years and years,
Yeah. People may not know that.
this is where all the rustling was going on.
That makes sense. Because it was the
It's-
shipping capital of the country
Right.
for quite a while.
So this guy's doing research on that, and he couldn't believe what I had. And he had already been doing research for a while. He called his wife and said, "You're going to want to come here. You won't believe what she's got." They've now been back twice. And he also is researching lawmen that died in the line of duty that far back were lost and have not been recognized.
Right.
So we're helping with that too.
So it's, yeah.
I learned when somebody comes, I also learned we trade things. I add to my files, they add to their files, and I'm learning all the time.
That's
I
incredible.
just have so much fun.
Man, that is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with our special guest, Kathy Klump. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk some more. Everybody stick around.
The endless options for streaming movies, shows, and sports can be overwhelming. Valley Telecom is here to help with Stream Now, your ultimate online reference for all things streaming. Whether you're a binge watcher or just looking for a quick episode to enjoy, we've got you covered. Discover recommendations, compare platforms, and find the best content for your favorite streaming devices. Stream Now makes it simple to get the most out of your streaming experience. Enjoy the journey of discovering your next favorite show, movie, or live event all in one place. The best part is it's free to use. Unlock the door to endless viewing possibilities by going to gostreamnow.com/VTC today.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. I'm your host, Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host, Ralph Score. Don't forget to go download your favorite episodes or listen to them all and review it and tell us what you think. You can find them on podbean.com and research. You can search Valley's Bits with an apostrophe S to find us there. We're on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. You can find us also on YouTube and on our website, vtc.net/blog. And if you have any questions or topics you want us to talk about at some other time, email us, podcast@teamvtg.net. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with local Willcox historian, author, volunteer Kathy Klump. And we're here at the Chiricahua Regional Museum and Research Center and I'm not even talking about the building across the street, Kathy. Here at the Toggery, which is the old building the Huffman family, you guys were able to assume and buy from them to use as a repository and as a museum. Just in here, the sheer volume of items are mind-blowing just looking around.
I almost wish this was our first video episode.
Oh, I do too. I mean, to see this guy.
We'll have to come back,
Kathy,
and do a video episode
with you,
yeah.
of the podcast.
Really
we're here, ladies and gentlemen, set up
this is
with our
amazing.
equipment in the middle, and you just feel like you're in the middle of history on this.
And I wanted to add something that I think that another title that should go on the end of Kathy's title is extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
Because of what you do.
Yes.
It's amazing the amount of work you do.
It takes an incredible amount of patience, organization skills, and planning, and people skills.
Well, and
to do what you do.
And you can see that you have the passion for it. And I have a question for it. So, when did you know you really had a passion for grabbing onto history? Was it when you started discovering these stories?
Yeah, when I went down and started reading the microfilm, and it was just put me right in the middle of these people's lives right here in the town. I didn't even like history in high school. I used to put my history book, stand it up, and have my novel inside reading it. And then the day of the test, I'd hurry up and read the chapter.
Hey, if you find a system that works, Kathy, you stick with it.
That's right.
But some people ask me if I went to school and who taught me all this. I said, there's no one who can teach me because I've learned it all and collected it from the very beginning. There's no college course to teach me Willcox history.
That's true.
And that's one thing that makes it interesting is that I tell the Bowie school kids came for a tour. I don't find one part of history that you like and focus on it because there's too much to try to know everything. But if you like your family or your town or something that you can really get into, then it's exciting. So I would like to invite everybody to come see our museum.
I was going to ask, Kathy, people are listening to this and they go, I really need to come down there.
So what days and times are you open here, Kathy?
Well, at the Research Center, our regular days are Wednesdays and Thursdays, but we will make appointments if there's researchers coming through.
And that's where we're sitting right now.
Right.
And the Toggery here.
And we have a website you can contact me on or our email. And the museum is open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday.
10, and that is right
10
across
to
the street.
4. It's right across the street. And it has the local history, how the town started. It goes through the time of the Paleo Indians that lived around here when it was a lake covered with water and hunted mammoth, and we have mammoth teeth and bones.
The conifer forest.
Way back.
Yes, and then we skip up to the time of Cochise when he was chief of the Chiricahuas, and we have a huge collection of the Chiricahua Apache history from Cochise around through Geronimo's time and when they were taken as prisoners of war. And Cochise's great-granddaughter built the wiki up in the back, and there's a whole display of her personal items.
Wow.
We're
Wow.
very, very proud that
Yeah.
the family has honored us with letting us have those.
That's incredible.
That's
And
amazing.
they continue to be very supportive.
That speaks
of
very
a
highly
museum.
of the
That's
validity of the
phenomenal.
work that you do. Now,
Yeah.
you talk about volunteers. Are you looking for volunteers all the time, Kathy?
We're always looking for some. We've just, this past couple of weeks, gotten 3 new volunteers for the museum.
Awesome.
And sometimes there's always projects that can be done in the research center too. And sometimes you can take the project over while you work at the museum and like paste my little newspaper clippings down and things so I don't lose them.
Well, those are pretty important jobs.
yeah.
You know?
They are.
Yeah, because once I lose something that I've cut out of the paper, I'd never know. I'd never be able to find it again.
Yeah.
So all of it's important, but we get lots and lots of compliments on our museum. There's displays of our famous people and our infamous people, you know, like the constable and the deputy that robbed the train. We've had a lot of famous people that lived here, like Tanya Tucker, Edgar
Right.
Rice Burroughs that wrote Tarzan, which our big event this year, we're having a 4-day convention, national convention here in honor of Edgar Rice Burroughs'
Oh.
150th birthday.
When is that?
Wow.
That's going to be the last weekend in September.
Wow.
And a monument is going to be put by the depot in honor of his military service here because he was stationed at Fort Grant in the 1890s.
Wow.
That's
So
awesome.
we've been raising money for that.
So they're going to do
And-
that at the community center? They're going to be
It'll be by the depot.
It will.
Oh, the community center will be where the convention will be held.
Host the convention.
We actually did a 4-day one in 2019, and they asked us to do it again. So
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
there's from the Burroughs Bibliophiles, there are these people that collect everything they can on Edgar Rice Burroughs or Tarzan or the Moon Maid or John Carter of Mars. He wrote that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we're real proud to be chosen to do that.
That's exciting.
And if people want to help with the monument, they can go to our website and donate there.
And what is your website, Kathy? Let's put that out there for everybody.
Okay, it's ssvhs.weebly.com.
SSVHS dot Weebly.
Yes, WEEBLY.com.
All right, everybody. We'll put that in the notes of when we on the episode when we post it online, so everybody will see it
Okay.
there and the link to that, so they can click and go to it
Yeah.
and go check that out. And Kathy, you mentioned one of the things too. You mentioned you love books.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, reading books and loving to learn is a lot different than writing or organizing or putting together books. So what made you make the jump to authoring some books on the history of the area?
Well, let's see. The first one really that I did was on the Klump family when we had the 100th anniversary of the Klumps coming to Willcox. That was in 2004. And then the next one was when the Willcox was going to be celebrating 100 years since incorporation in 2015.
Right.
So we did like the state did 10 years before. We started naming 10 people for each decade that kept the town rolling. So I did biographies of all 100 of those people, and we put that in the Wheels of Progress book. And we did a book, it would have been 10 years before, so 2005, of all the clippings from the 1915 newspaper. So everything that was happening in Willcox in 1915, the year of incorporation. So that was a 10-year project. We have the photos of all 100 people that most kept the town rolling over the 100 years. So there's 10 from each decade. We based that kind of on the culture keepers that Arizona had done.
Oh, right on.
And then by that time, we'd started collecting quite a few photographs and stories, and we thought we knew quite a bit. By 2009, Now we know we didn't know that much. But Arcadia Books had the Images of America series, where all the towns across America put their stories together through about 200 photographs.
Right.
So we decided, hey, why don't we do Miss Petta Anteni? She's been partner right from the beginning almost. She has the expertise of how to put it all together. So I do the research, find the pictures, and she gets it all together for publishing. So we make a real good team.
Yes, you do.
Nice.
So we decided to contact Arcadia and see if we could do the Willcox book. So they have a certain process you have to do. They're allowed a certain number of words under each photo and a certain amount of photos, a certain number of words for the whole book. So we did Willcox, and it was real popular, and the people from Bowie said, would you do Bowie? We said, well, we don't have a whole lot on Bowie. So we sent the word out because they really wanted it done. And Willcox, Bowie was a really, really nice place to live for years and years. And so photos and stories started coming into us. And thank goodness we did that book when we did, because most of the people that contributed the photos and stuff have now passed away. We would have a hard time doing it now.
Yeah.
Right.
So we did the Bowie book. And then, can't remember for sure what came next. But the latest one is after I'd done all these newspapers, and I have all these stories that nobody else knows about because I've read every single column of those papers. And some are funny and some are sad.
Yeah.
I did a program with the theater where I did 6 1.5-hour programs from the Gadsden Purchase all the way through World War I.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Divided into 6 video programs. And we put it on, they did record it, and we put it on video. But 9 hours of me is kind of a lot. So Petta Ann got the idea. We've already got the stories and we've got the photos to go with it from the PowerPoint. So let's put it in a book, and then people can read it as they want.
Right.
Right.
And so that's how we got the story of Willcox book. And it's pretty much everything you'd want to know about Willcox. And we do from the Gadsden Purchase because a lot of people don't even realize how did we even get here.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. They don't think
And
that
the
far back.
railroad coming through, and then the first people. And so it's a fun read. It's not just facts and,
Yeah.
it's all kinds of stories. In the Arcadia
that.
book, we were limited to how many words we could put
Right.
under a picture. This one, we did it ourselves, and we didn't have an editor because we didn't want an editor. Said, this is our book, and we're going to put what we want.
There you go.
So we had some stories are long stories to get it all in.
Yeah.
And some are short.
Well,
So-
it's important.
So, Bob, don't you have a question of the day for Kathy?
I do, but I had one question I want to ask.
Okay.
Any of the books you guys have written, all the books, they can purchase them here, correct?
Oh, yes. Well, there's a couple out of print, like the Vin Fizz. I wrote one about the first plane that made the transcontinental flight and landed here on that flight in 1911. And no one had ever seen an airplane before.
Blew
And
everybody's mind.
It's the Vin Fizz lands in Willcox. That's been sold out for quite a long time. So those are kind of rare. But it's the most popular of all the stories, or the PowerPoint when am asked to go speak somewhere. That's the most popular one of all. It's an amazing story.
That's incredible.
So, but other than that, they all are. I did one.
Perfect.
I did one on Willcox 1900, the year Warren Earp was killed, everything that happened that year, because, the train robbers were on the run and Warren Earp was killed, and the school building that was SSVC was built that year. So that was done with the Cochise County Historical Society in their journal. So I'm on that board
Right.
also.
Wow. So make sure, guys, if you're in the area, I mean, we're right off I-10. Take exit 336, 344 to make you right downtown here to come by the museum and check it out. And before we give one final plug to the museum, like Ralph mentioned, Kathy, we usually try to ask somebody a question of the day. There's no right or wrong answer. You never know what the question's going to be, but you do have some control. Okay. So we have 6 questions to choose from. So all you got to do is give me a number between 1 and 6, and I will read you that question.
4.
Number 4. Kathy, what is your favorite smell?
Oh, gosh.
See, you didn't see that one coming.
No. Oh,
That's a tough question.
yeah, it is a tough question. But maybe because of what I do, it's old papers.
Well, because you know what it
That
represents.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there's a certain smell of when you're right in the middle of all these old books and
Yep.
all that kind of thing. So it's probably
Well, smells, one of the senses, right, that just
Yeah.
that brings memories,
Triggers
right?
memories,
It triggers
yeah.
all that
Yep.
stuff. So
Yep.
that totally makes sense.
Yep.
Totally get that. So we're here talking with Kathy Klump. We're at the Chiricahua Regional Museum and Research Center. And guys, we could talk, Kathy, for a long, long time. In fact, well, if you'll have us back, we want to come back and talk to you some more.
Could I answer the one question that you had before we went on of what
Sure.
was the one item that most?
Yep,
Oh,
I was
yeah,
going to ask
yeah,
you that,
yep.
and I didn't know if we were going to have time to get that in, but yes.
Well,
What
I
is
think
I
the
wanted to
thing
ask
that
you, what is the item that was most significant for you here, or maybe most sentimental here?
I think one that we're most proud of is that one day the great-granddaughter of General Willcox showed up and said, I have all the family's silver and heirlooms, and I'm an only child. I have no one to give them to. Would you like them?
Wow.
Oh,
So
are you
we
serious?
have
Wow.
a fantastic display of the Willcox family silver and collectibles and the swords from the War of 1898, and you just can't believe the display we have.
That's incredible. I did not know that.
Wow.
We're very proud of that.
You should be. That's amazing. And what the town is named after is he
Right.
who's named after the town, or the town was named after him.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
I'm glad we had time to slip that in.
Yes, definitely.
Me too. All right. Well, it's time for us to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. But we would like to thank again Kathy Klump. Kathy, thank you for sitting down with us and sharing us some stories
Thank
about
you.
the history of Willcox and all that you do here. It's tremendous work,
Thank you.
and we're really proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, for Ralph Score, I'm Bob Dahlstrom. That's going to do it for this episode of Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. Until the next episode, everybody, have a great time.